Hi everyone, my name is Joanne, and together with Esther here, we're co-founders of Jacob and Esau. We're a fashion label that's committed to fair wages and genuine relationships with our makers. Today, I'm really honored to share with you some of the J&E journey, along with some key points for you to consider, and perhaps some encouragement for some of you here who are thinking of starting your own ethical business. Well, a little more than a year ago today, I could not have imagined myself working in the fashion industry, much less starting my own business, and then standing up here on stage speaking about it. I graduated uni in a Bachelor of Law, and here I am, running my own small fashion label. How exciting. Well, perhaps this speaks to some of you here today. You're thinking of changing your lifestyle, maybe your career, or maybe simply your day-to-day choices. But we're just here to speak into that, whatever situation you're in, whatever age you're at, what background you're from, or your circumstance. So how did this all begin? How did I come to this point? To put simply, I was on a search as a consumer myself for beautiful clothes, affordable clothes, which did not involve the unfair treatment of somebody. Let's start this thing. Does that work? Yeah. Okay, so there I was. That's me. So that was my search, and I must admit it was really hard. There were times when, what Jess mentioned before, $5 tops are really enticing. $10 dresses, the word sale. I did not think much beyond those words, and it was only much later on when I was emptying out all my shopping purchases when I would look around me and think, why is it so cheap? And it really bothered me. So on one hand, I was buying affordable clothing that I loved, which made me feel good, but ultimately it made me didn't make me feel too good. Around the same time, Esther, that's Esther, also had similar convictions, and she was from a more relevant background in fashion design. She had, the same sort of ideas in mind, and from my point of view, I thought, I wish I could start my own clothing line. I wish it could tick all my boxes. And then, long story short, true to Melbourne style, we met up over coffee, and we laid down all our ideas, all our plans, our beliefs, and our hopes. And 1 hour later, we were business partners, co-founders, and we were on this adventure that, to be honest, we had no idea where the destination was going to be. And herein lies my first point. To begin something, or anything really, it takes a lot of courage. There's so much risks involved, there's the unknown, and it's scary, it's gonna get tough. But we have come to realize that we really need courage. So from the work that we do at Jacob and Esau, we partner with our garment makers in Bali, Indonesia. That means it involves us flying across to Indonesia at least twice a year. We've never been there before prior to Jacob and Esau. Our first trip was last January. And I remember clearly a couple of times when we would be in a taxi or in a crowded bus or walking on the street of Jakarta or Bali, and we'd just pause and look at each other, and we're thinking the same thing. What are we doing here? So sometimes, what it takes is for us to take that one step. And for us, at that time, we had no idea. And for us, that step was just to book flights. But when we went into that country, we had no preconceived ideas, we had no preconceived expectations, and that was the beauty of that mystery, where it actually revealed to us the possibilities of our business. We realized that there was a great need for change. There was a need for us to provide wages for other people, that they could thrive off it and not just survive off it. And most importantly, we realized in our own personal capacity and together as a business that we need to stand up for rights and equality in the workplace. So, maybe this actually connects with some of you here today. If you're thinking of changing, as I mentioned before, your lifestyle, your career, or just even going into something so unknown, that you need this courage that we speak of. But together with that, and this leads me to my next point, you need this hand in hand with courage, is this full faith in what you're doing. You must know what you're doing. You must believe in what you're doing. And this assuredness in why you're doing what you're doing. You have to own it.
That says ownership. So for us, it's relatively easy owning our business. Obviously we own it, but to take ownership of it. It means that we have to make ethical decisions for Jacob and Esau because this is what we market our product to be. That's our point of difference. So in other words, we have to be ethical. We're under public scrutiny. And we expose ourselves to that. But I was just thinking today, shouldn't that be the case for every business? Shouldn't every business be under public scrutiny to be ethical and to have ethical practices? But let's take it, I guess, a step further. What about our personal decisions? When our business is out of the picture, do Joe and I shop ethically? Whether or not we like it now, our friends, our family, and now you guys are watching us to see where we shop, to see what we do, and whether our choices reflect our business. So in order for us to 100% own Jacob and Esau, we integrate our business values with our personal values. Or I guess you could flip it the other way, in that our business is an extension of our personal values. We choose to live, breathe, and at times eat our values. And it's what we're passionate about. And that's really important, to be able to have that courage and to take that ownership and to take those steps forward. So I ask you to reflect on your own values and if your lifestyle reflects those values. It may not be a business, it might be how you raise your children, how you deal with people on the road. That brings out most of our values. But yeah, as Joe mentioned, making these ethical choices didn't start, the next day. It didn't happen overnight. So today might be the beginning of your journey, the beginning of when you start to see that there are more options and that lots of people are relying on you to make better choices so that their lives can change. I know that I often get disheartened with this all or nothing approach, which drives Joe insane. It's like a perfectionist thing. You might have seen me yesterday being very stressed. But I've had to learn that that's not always a great attitude to have, this all or nothing approach, because it's very much about the small steps and it's very much about doing something as opposed to nothing at all. It wins every single time. And as we've discussed today and last night, our Australian culture is something that perpetuates a lot of these problems. It's an attitude where we don't often think about how we impact others globally, and it just simply doesn't occur to us that what we buy or how we act has been handled or influenced by someone most likely overseas, someone who, as Moira said this morning, has just been born with the wrong passport, someone who doesn't have the opportunity to support a family or be educated, let alone build wealth or have a comfortable lifestyle. I didn't plan this. This is not according to plan. But, now you guys have heard it for yourselves, and that's the good news. The bad news is that you can't unhear it. So I encourage you to take action, to be encouraged, to start a journey. And as we've discussed so many times this weekend, to take away that demand. If we take away demand, then the supply will change. And that's what, Joe and I are really hoping to achieve through our business. So, do you believe you can bring change? I hope you do. I really, really hope you believe that you can change someone's life, one person, or millions, who knows? I sound a bit like a motivational speaker. You can do it, but you can do it. And if you don't take away anything else from, Joe and I being up here, please take away the fact that we're two very ordinary girls, unqualified, and we just have enough conviction to go ahead with this dream that we have for making ethical labour the norm. Thank you for having us.